Well, welcome back. So today we are talking about, I've taken a long video and I've separated it into little segments just in case you haven't seen it or you don't want to watch the whole, like my top curriculum picks, my favorite curriculum picks. I've separated into little different elements for you to enjoy. So I'll give you one a day for the next couple days. And hopefully after you see this, I will be back from moving and I will have all the new STEM products, some new curriculum to show you, gifted curriculum that is super cool that anyone can use, and it's like mini study units. So I can't wait to show you it all and all the STEM products I have. All right, talk to you soon. Bye-bye. What is next? Ooh, history. History is a big one. So I have two different questions for history. First, let me show you some history products here. This is the Titanic game. We are utilizing, remember a couple days ago I talked about an overarching theme or goal for your homeschool that you want to implement, and I want to implement playing more games together. And one of them is I get a lot of solo games so we can do it as a team. And this is the Titanic one. Another thing is I like disasters in history. I think it has 8 disasters in history and it's comics about them and they're pretty interesting. Next up we got, oh my gosh, could not rave about it more. Growing up in early America. So this can be used by anyone. This is definitely Christian. Like you cannot use it if you are not Christian or you do not believe in God, okay? You cannot use it. It does not have a ton of Bible in here, so that's not the issue. It talks a lot about God in the olden days and what people thought and why they left England and coming. And the stories are very interesting. It's got first-person stories of like Native Americans and what their life was like and how they might have felt, and pilgrims and how they might have felt. And it's very interesting. So back to history. I just have to show you this book because there is, under the study units video that I did all about study units, I talked a ton about Titanic because we have a Titanic obsession in our house. Not me personally, I think it's sad, but someone else does. And the only thing I didn't include on the website was his Titanic blanket that he loves. And so I need to put it on the website as well because it can be washed a million times and it's still super soft. So this is Titanic Cat, a very good story. And there's a beautiful Titanic book I have listed on the website under books, under Titanic as well. So let me talk about some history questions I got. If you want to teach history yourself, you need a basic book. Don't worry about teaching American history yourself. You can purchase those separately if you want. Like they have a ton of programs on American history, but if you want to teach world history, and that's like the history of the world from prehistory on, you need some of these books. Some of them are for secular people and some of them are designed and can be used by Christians. For example, this right here, the Kingfisher, this is new from the Kingfisher book and I highly recommend it. I was like one of the only people to give it a positive review because no one else has really bought it. It's pretty new. But it talks about its contents in here. Let me show you. So it's got the ancient world, medieval world, the modern world, and it's got a lot of maps and stuff in it. So this can be like your teacher's manual that you make reference to if you are doing your own program. If you're doing other programs, this can be used as a reference. So you pull it out and you're like, hey, we're gonna be talking about the ancient world today, and then it's got some highlights of the ancient world. Okay, so again, this does not talk about the age of the earth at all. So it is good to use if you are Christian or if you are secular. Because it also doesn't talk, it talks about religion as it comes up. This is the same. This is they just go more in depth with a lot of things. So this is a bigger book. They don't make it anymore. This is the Kingfisher one. You have to buy it used. But again, this one is just as sufficient. So you pull it open and you're like, hey, we're gonna talk about, like, this goes more into depth on stuff, right? Like onto different types of people that were around then. Whereas this may say, you know, during this time period, there were these 3 people apart. This will have a separate section on each. So I personally think this is sufficient, but if you wanna go, because then when you look this up and you're like, hey, medieval things, what can we talk about? And then, or ancient Egypt. Okay, let's talk about ancient Egypt. Then you can look up stories. You can get like Mummy Cat. You can get a bunch of picture books that are super cool that even older kids will like picture books too. They're very interesting and you learn a lot from a lot of them. Will accompany this and can be used alongside that, okay? So this is like, sometimes you're like, it's got a couple pages on like the Mycenaeans. So if you really want to go in depth, then you could get this book, but I just don't know how it would work finding general information about the Mycenaeans, but you would be able to find videos. about the Mycenaeans as well. If you are secular and if you want to have like the age of the earth written in, or the Big Bang Theory or whatever, you can get the timelines of everything. Interesting about the Big Bang Theory is it's just a leading theory. It's not the only theory out there. So it's just one of the more prominent ones. But if you want to, I learned this because I'm creating a prehistory curriculum. But anyway, so the timelines of everything, you can get that book. When on Earth, you cannot get When on Earth unless you skip that section. So I'm big on skipping stuff that you do not like, but if you, whatever, both sides I get it. But so this starts off with, so because it has the birth of the world listed here, you may not want it, but you can also skip that as well, because it's just like written on the one page and I haven't noticed anything else from it. And in here as well, it's got like a lot of the paths they went. And again, this is another good book that you can get as like a reference. This secular, it's Usborne, you cannot get it if you don't want to talk about the age of the earth or evolution or dinosaurs or things like that. Then don't get this one. Like if the dinosaur thing doesn't line up, like if the standard view, this is the standard view, I guess you could say, of dinosaurs and when they were on the earth and things like that. So don't get it if you're Christian and you have a problem with the age of the earth and things like that. Okay, now this everyone can get. 35 bucks, definitely get it. The Usborne Beginner's History, because it talks about, they're just very cool. Like, so pull out the Vikings or the Egyptians when you're in there, or castles or whatever, and look at it. Even kids up to age 8, you can glean stuff from this. You know what I mean? It may look like it's a young book, but it just means there's solid information on here that I think is good. All right, so it has the Iron Age, the Stone Age, Romans, a lot of stuff in here. So highly recommend it. This is A Child Through Time. So it is basically, this is her name and she lived during this time period and that's what her life would be like during the time period. Okay, and this was him and this is what his life would be like when he lived during that time period. So this is A Child Through Time. It's a book for children's history. It doesn't have the age of the earth in here, not that I know, but it starts off with prehistory. There she was with mammoths. That is your first look into it. A Street Through Time, again, open to anybody, does not discuss anything other than showing a street through time, how it changed. So interesting. You can get a lot of these books at the library, but if you want to use them as a spine, and a spine is like you reference it time and time again, then you might want to pick it up. So this is a historian. So this is from Welcome to the Museum series, a series that everyone loves that I don't love. Everyone loves it. I don't love it. I just don't, just because, I mean, it's amazing. I think it's great for older children. But what's interesting, so it's got different pictures of stuff, but I like real photos. Anytime I have a choice between like pictures of animals that people have drawn or real pictures, the exception being Star Wars art, which I know sounds weird. I know that I'm bringing that up, but that's the truth. I love Star Wars art. But I just like the actual real pictures of it. So that's just personal preference. I do not care for this book and everyone loved it and was like, oh my gosh, it's great. So let me show you what I'm going to be doing. Okay, so this is open to everyone. It starts at prehistory. It discusses religion as it comes about. Okay, now it is the snapshots of history. So listen to this. I'm doing it. This is the snapshots of ancient history. And then I am switching, when we get to the next one up, which I believe is medieval, I'm switching to biblioplan. The reason I am is because I just think the stories are pretty interesting. I think it's a good read, but I'm skipping the ancients because it's very Bible based. It's all about like the biblical stories. Whereas by the time you get to the medieval days, it's not as much, right? Because the Bible has been stopped, if you will. So it's not as Bible based. So that's why I'm switching, because I think it's a great program. And also what comes along with it is I'm going to be doing the story of our world as well at some point. So hands-on ancient history. So these are just like, even though it's a Christian program, these books do not seem, from what I've read, the craft books they have for each thing are awesome because it's got like 161, 162 crafts and ideas and foods that you can cook like per history time period. So I think that is super cool, especially when you do biblioplan. It is expensive, but you do not need to buy the entire program. You can just get, this is the book, and I want to say it's from K through, like this is the ancient one for biblioplan. I want to say it is K through 8, I think, and then they have different modules you can buy on top of that if you want. So like for middle school, they have the maps that you can buy and pay additional to it. And then they have, like, for little kids, they have, you can get the little, it's an extra thing for little kids, but all it is it has questions in it and stuff like that. So and I bought it, and you're fine just getting this book. You do not have to get the family guide, which is additional information. Just this book is sufficient. Now again, I bought it, I'm skipping this one. Personal preference, because it's all about the biblical stories in here. And so for me, I'm just not going to teach that. I'm going to switch to, like I said, I'll start with this and I'll switch on. Now do not judge me for my taste and how I do things, and I will not judge you. You can ask me any questions you want, and I will do my best not to judge you, because I don't want the judgment back on me, because I get that I teach in a different way that other people may not. I totally get that. I have a few different American history programs. I bought Sunlight's, I bought a Becca's, I bought a few different, so I have a lot of elements from that, and so I will show you that in separate videos and you can take a look and see. But those generally don't start till grade 2, grade 3, so. Can you say, please like and subscribe?
Please like to like.
And hit the bell for notifications.
Hit the bell for notifications.